Hello, you're listening to Tony Slattery's Rambling Club, and you're most welcome.
Hello, I'm Paul Carmichael.
And I'm Allan Lear.
And here, in the sleepy country village of Much Fiddling on the Quiet, we like nothing better on a Friday night than going for an evening ramble.
We're off to meet the president of our Rambling Club in his magic shed. It's 90s icon and national Tupperware Tony Slattery.
He fled the toxic world of fame and fortune that cruelly ensnared so many of his contemporaries and settled down here to read, garden and ramble.
There's plenty going on in the village to talk about.
And if conversation flags, there's always our trusty bingo machine. Hello. We're looking for 1990s icon and president of the Rambling Club, Tony Slattery. I don't suppose you've seen him about, have you?
Go away. I'm in disguise.
Oh.
Here, I've taken it off now. Hello, it's Tony.
Good Lord, it's Tony Slattery.
Hello.
it is.
Yes, my Bernard Manning mask fell off.
Tony Slattery,
Hello.
the president of our Rambling Club. So how are you, Tony?
I'm, well, what do you want? The truth or...
Comforting line.
Yes.
You can find them.
A comforting line. I'm alive. I walk with a stick. My knee's very odd at the moment. I take a lot of pills to stay alive. I'm 64. I look older. And people say, I'm 64, but inside I feel... My problem is, I'm 64, but inside I feel much older. So, that's me for you in a nutshell.
Excellent. And how does it feel to have your own podcast?
Oh, it's lovely, and I've done podcasts with other people. So I must point out I have dentures. They're cracked, and I can't find, well, who can, a dentist anywhere to fix them. And so they're sort of put in by super glue and chewing gum at the moment. So if I lisp, it's not for affection like... Or did I say infection?
An affectation.
Affectation. I've had tooth infections. We can talk about those later. And the proper, don't take metronidazole if you drink, you'll have a fit. Mostly amoxicillin. We can get on to bacterial infections later. But if I lisp, I do not want to be sounding... No, look, it's come out wrong. Affectionate. I am affectionate. I want to hug you.
So.
I want to hug you, and all the listeners. So that's why my lisp is there. You asked me how I am. I explained about my knee, how I feel about my age, and I'm lovely at rambling.
The problem I find with trying to fix your dentures with chewing gum is that it's impossible to get the gum chewed up enough to glue the dentures back together.
That's right, and you can't give the gum a gummy gobble either, which I think is a phrase from some sort of 60s pornography involving dentures and fellatio. But
I thought he was a turkey character from the Magic Roundabout.
I think, yes. Oh, and Florence, the nights they had with Mr. Gummy Gobble and Dougal. What a magic roundabout that was.
Yes, it was. Well, talking of taking a spin, it's time for us to take a spin too, as in front of us, gentlemen, is our trusty random ramble generator, which admittedly looks like a cheap bingo machine, but which is so much more. So if we're ready... Let's give it a whirl and see where we ramble, geographically and intellectually. Off we go.
Tony's enchanted bingo machine. A curious contraption of cogs, levers and glowing buttons that hums with ominous energy. This machine generates 3 completely random numbers. These numbers are fed directly into the Dewey Decimal System, the arcane reference system by which books and their contents are categorized. In this way, the bingo machine conjures from thin air a topic of conversation so enthralling, so wildly unexpected, that it leaves the members of the Rambling Club both bewildered and vaguely excited. Thus, another evening is saved from the brink of boredom, thanks to Tony's marvellous, possibly haunted and entirely inexplicable bingo machine.
And here we are, transported as if by magic to the great outdoors, and the numbers from our fabulous machine to get us started are
8, 2, 1.
8, 2, 1. And according to our machine's Dewey Decimal readout, our first randomly generated ramble is on the subject of English poetry. English poetry. What immediately springs to mind to you two? Any particular poets or poems or...
Okay, immediately, for no reason, W.H. Auden, the lines, lay your sleeping head, my love, human on my faithless arm. And it goes on, may the winds of dawn blow softly round your dreaming head. And it's part of a longer poem. It's about him laying with his lover and the innocence of looking at someone when they're asleep and you're in love with them.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
When did you first come across
That would have been, I would guess, at O-level age or before, because I went to grammar school, and so you're introduced to literature quite early. And that would have been a book called 10 20th century poets. So there was Spencer, there was Auden, there weren't any of the war poets, but I remember that line particularly because I remember us, the class being moved by it at the time because the teacher was a very good teacher and said it very expressively and explained what it meant about the nature of love and peaceful sleeping. It was lovely.
It's lovely. Oh, what about you? Poetry-wise?
English poets, I've always got a soft spot for Philip Larkin. His unfinished poem, the spectre of death haunting somebody all his life, and the final, when death appears and she's not what he expects at all, and the last line is, what summer have you broken from? It's a wonderful moment. And of course, he's very often quoted with the line, what will survive us is love, from An Arundel Tomb, which is not quite what he says.
No, that's right.
What he actually says is, our almost instinct, almost true. What will survive us is love. So he's talking about the sculpted remains of two lovers on a tomb. The sculptor has sculpted them hand in hand, and he's talking about what survives is the idea of love, or almost the marketing of love, rather than love itself. So that's lovely, because we had to read that as well, and the teacher said more or less exactly what you said about the Arundel tomb and their two lovers side by side cast in stone, and they're all in their finery and knighted. They were nobility, and the only clue that they were in any way intimate was a slight clasp of the hand. Otherwise there were swords and coronets and sceptres and everything. What will survive of us is love. Now that's Larkin. And of course, you'll have to bleep this, but obviously more famous than that is they fuck you up, your mum and dad. They don't mean to, but they do. And that can be true. And sometimes it's not. My favourite, the last verse of that poem is marvellous. Man hands on misery to man, it deepens like a coastal shelf. Get out as quickly as you can, and don't have kids yourself.
Yeah.
He was a terrible man, Larkin, but he had a great mastery of the English language.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan. I love William Blake.
Oh, yes, indeed.
I love William Blake.
The songs of innocence and experience as well.
Beautiful. And of course, the illustrations that come with them. Beautiful. I love The Sick Rose. Oh, Rose, thou art sick. The invisible worm that flies in the night, and the howling storm has found out thy bed of crimson joy, and love's dark secret doth thy life destroy. It's beautiful.
Yes. Beautiful. And the illustrations, as you mentioned, some of them are frankly demonic and scary. And if you go to filmic references, I suppose if you look at, help me out here, Al, Red Dragon in the book and the film, and a huge picture of Red Dragon and it's terrifying.
And that's one of Blake's original paintings.
That's right.
The Red Dragon itself. Yeah.
So he's referred to as a visionary and lunatic. I think. And presumably, I mean, when they said lunatic, they meant it in that literal sense as well, didn't they? As in lunacy brought on, presumably, by the cycle of the moon.
That's where lunacy comes from, yeah. And he was a naturist, of course, and he often used to like to bathe naked with his wife under a full moon. And that's where, this is according to one book of criticism, that's one people might not know, but if they look up the name escapes me, but he often got ideas from there. And he also, going back to Hannibal Lecter, whose voice I could do, if you want later, I can do him. He said, I will do. Have you ever noticed, Clarice, that blood under a full moon looks black? And it does. I tested it myself. It doesn't look red or glistening. It doesn't look like Ribena. It looks black as soot. And you think, wow, that is interesting, because there could be street lamps and everything. No, black. I didn't cut myself. What did I eat? No, there was blood there. Now, why was there...
That's because you live in Edgware.
I live in Edgware, in North London. So I just went out and there was some blood. I thought, it's an ordinary night, but there is a full moon. I'll think of Blake. And it does look like... So I made a note, dodged the knives coming in from the street, and then went home with a cup of cocoa and read some more Blake.
Lovely. The blood in the Hammer horror films was always very red. Thinking about it,
it used to be known as Kensington Gore.
That's it.
That was the thing, and it was all over the place. And it was always a woman showing her cleavage, shouting, and then it was before the slash movie. I'm not a fan of gore for its sake, for its own sake at all. But you're right. How do we get on to that?
I think if you're doing something that's very Grand Guignol, like some of Peter Jackson's early films, where there is or Evil Dead 2, where there is so much blood that it passes beyond the realms of credibility and just becomes entertaining again, you can do that. But it's funny that when you mentioned that blood is black under the moon, the first thing I thought was Psycho, because of course the blood in the shower scene in Psycho was chocolate syrup. With it being a black and white movie, they thought it had the best consistency to be a realistic blood in that colour scheme.
Well, if we're talking about bodily functions, let's go on to Pasolini, whom I'm fascinated by. Speaking of blood and bodily functions, you may not have seen, and you may well not have the stomach to see the film Salò, which was his last film. He was murdered by the fascists for making it so half of the film is missing. It's very difficult to watch. You need a strong stomach. It's a rant against fascism. It's taken from the Marquis de Sade, and it's basically a metaphor about the horror of fascism. It's a fascinating film. He was a fascinating man, much maligned, also tortured by the fascists, who didn't want any, they saw it as corruption, but some of his films were very poetic. And so you were just talking about blood, and that threw me on to the impenetrable mind of Pasolini.
He's fascinating, de Sade, isn't he? He was, if I remember rightly, he was imprisoned in the Bastille for writing. So he would keep writing, and then he'd fold the pieces of paper up and he'd put them through the bars into the street as though they were paper aeroplanes. So they bricked up his windows, and they did everything to try and stop him. And in the end, he ended up writing on the walls in his own shit. Well, it's not really inspiration. It's a need, isn't it, to get that out somehow?
Yes,
it's
fascinating.
It's what Bukowski calls writing is the hellish itch, isn't it? Yeah. But I'm talking to John Robertson, who mentioned the Marquis de Sade, and he said you read the Marquis de Sade's letters from prison to his wife, and what they are mainly are complaints that the dildos she sends him aren't wide enough.
We're not talking about Princess Margaret here, or Catherine the Great. By the way, that received idea about Catherine the Great and the horse is complete fiction.
I believe it was a vile calumny perpetrated on her by the people who resented her reign.
Yes, that's right. But what a way to do it.
Yes.
What a way to perpetrate a calumny.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to perpetrate a calumny, phone this number. Over to you.
It's mythological in origin, isn't it? Because
it is.
It's the story of how the Minotaur is created.
That's right.
The woman has Daedalus build her a fake cow so that she can have sex with the bull she fancies.
That's right, and but further than that, it goes down to Zeus pretending to be a swan in order to rape.
It's that leader.
Leader, that's right. Take me to your leader.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, talking of Marquis de Sade, I've suddenly gone on to this evening Carry On, Don't Lose Your Head, where just before Charles Hawtrey's character, who is sort of he's reading the Marquis de Sade, and he's laughing out loud, and someone like can oh, do stop laughing, we're going to chop your head off. I know, but this bit's so good. I'll read the rest in the basket. So we've gone from Marquis de Sade to Charles Hawtrey. Have you ever read Charles Hawtrey's biography, in which he is it's very, very thin.
Yes.
What an extraordinary... Yes. And he was described with a lovely description, a quick splinter of a man. And of course, he was outrageous, and he was an alcoholic and had a terribly sad end.
Yes.
And yet he's fondly remembered by loads of people who grew up on the whole Carry On thing. So we went from Marquis de Sade to Charles Hawtrey.
Natural bad fellow.
I think one of his last ever appearances, Charles Hawtrey, was on the children's series Runaround, hosted by Mike Reid.
I remember that.
Oh, and they had to edit it down to about 30 seconds that they could use while Mike Reid just shouted at the kids. I love watching that because he hates the kids.
Yes, he does.
And there's he's quite open about the fact in one that was shown on Talking
We're talking
Pictures
about the
TV.
DJ, aren't we? Mike Reid.
No, we're talking about the actor.
The EastEnders
actor.
Oh my goodness!
Occasional
I was just
stand-up
going to give
comedian.
you an anecdote about Mike Reid and how much he hated people.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
No, we can go that way.
No, I want to hear Mike Reid, the actor, the EastEnders actor. Oh my God!
Oh yeah, well he's in this this massive studio down on the south coast with loads of kids screaming. So it's got that. It's like a cheap crackerjack atmosphere. But you put Mike Reid in, who is the least paternal figure I've ever seen on television, who just walks in and the kids are terrified of him. He will just shout at them. And at the beginning of one of them, they're cheering for the start of the programme and he just goes, "No!" with his hands like that, and then just goes, "Headache, shush." And then looks to camera and starts going. By the end of the programme, when they're running the credits up live and all the kids are running around the stage, you've just got Reid just sat like that, leaning against the camera, exhausted, presumably hungover, and hating every second of it.
Well, now.
Wonderful.
Well, now. My Mike Reid story, the DJ.
Yeah.
Well, he was fine to get on with. We did a tour of the Hilton hotels, and it was Barry Took and Mike Reid and me and someone else, and it was all about music, and it was actually quite erudite. But Mike Reid was constantly stalked by this woman of a certain size who was utterly psychologically, psychiatrically obsessed. She changed her name by deed poll to Mike Reid. There was a documentary about her. She was always naked because she expected Mike Reid to come in through the door, so she was naked in preparation, and she was willing to be filmed naked saying, "No, I'm in love with Mike Reid, and my name is Mike Reid." So we talk of the days of, say, Baby Reindeer, but this was way before them. That program, which was startling, and there's all this stuff going on about this person is suing for £164 million, saying this is defamation, and so it's a very grey area. But Mike Reid said yes, he'd had death threats, thousands of love letters reported to the police. It was very... we got on to that Mike Reid from your Mike Reid. Yours was funnier, I agree, but mine just made me think of that lady.
I was just struck by the irony of Charles Hawtrey's last appearance being on Runaround, when, of course, he lost both his legs to diabetic retinopathy.
Oh, really? Oh, Alan, we were going all poetic and disciplined.
Yes. He burned his house down and he had to be carried out by the firemen. His flat, actually, not his house.
It was.
Carried out by firemen.
He'd been barred by all the pubs in Brighton. He was a horrible, drunk when he was drunk, and he lost both his legs through gangrene, basically.
Yeah, not retinopathy, neuropathy. Sorry, diabetic neuropathy.
That's right.
Retinopathy would be the eyes.
Yes, that's right. No, but both legs from gangrene because of smoke and the drink and everything, and he was terrible, and he fought the fireman. He said, "Oh, don't do that, don't do that. Just take me up the arse pipe. Take me up the arse pipe. You're a fireman. You're a fireman." And this was heard by crowds. And yes, it's funny, but it's desperately sad.
It is. It is. It's odd, isn't it, though, when people were, like with Mike Reed, the woman who changed the name, when people do get that blurring of the lines as fans. I know that certainly in the 70s, on Crossroads, they were always getting letters sent in asking if there was any work going in the motel, or people would write in as though the characters could see through the camera to them. So I know that Tony Adams got a letter one day from a woman asking what he thought of her new curtains, because she assumed he could see them through the screen. Yeah. And Ronnie Allen at that point says, "Write back and say you hate them and bitch her life up."
Well, and of course people do cross-imagine that they are real characters, and they get the characters in soaps get attacked with punches and handbags because how dare you do that to Shaw last night? He ain't family. Bang! And the police have to be called, because they're confused between the actor and the reality, such is the power of television, or soaps indeed.
I miss soaps when they were just quite relaxing. When they were that distraction, when it was Annie Sugden making a cake, and that was your 23-minute episode.
Or when it was, I was going to say Amy Winehouse. Now, who do I mean?
Amy Turtle?
Amy Turtle, not Amy Winehouse. If they'd done I bet Amy Winehouse would have welcomed Amy Turtle. What a duet that would have been. Magnificent. No, because all the scenes of Amy Turtle going through a revolving door, forgetting her lines, of course that's what Acorn Antiques is based on. But the thing is, Acorn Antiques is one of my favourites, and I've met Victoria Wood, and I've worked with Celia Imrie, and they're fantastic. Well, an honour it was to do that, but the things that happened when Crossroads was live were far more outrageously funny than anything the brilliance of Acorn Antiques could do. And even Victoria Wood is quoted as saying, "Look, this is a pale shadow of what actually went on." Yeah. Amy Turtle, who had the long scene and got stuck in the revolving doors and just couldn't be heard, was trying to get out with a bucket and a broom. And Noel Gordon was going, "I don't know what's going on, but I intend to find out." and then you could almost hear the other say, "Cut, and go to Miss Diane." Hello. Yes, about these invoices. That's right. In the background, you can still Amy Turtle going, "Let me out."
There's a lovely one with Amy Turtle. There's a lovely story about when they started shooting one of the episodes, and you had Noel Gordon and Ronald Allen close to camera, and in the background, just before they went on, someone brings a Hoover out and passes it to him, turns it on, and the ATV logo is on, and suddenly they're on, and you've got the two of them shouting over the top of this. And eventually a cut was caused because it was realised that the stage manager had read the script and take it literally. It should have said Amy is hovering in the background, and it said hoovering.
Oh, I can't beat that, except, no, that's wonderful, except this is apocryphal, but, you would know, and I remember, I think, some Shakespeare, Macbeth, his shortest play wonderfully, if it's done wonderfully well, and there is a line in some of the versions where a messenger has to come on, and it's a pivotal point in the play, and say to Lord Macbeth, he has to say, "The Queen, my lord, is dead." And that's a pivotal silent point. In this production, however, it wasn't an amateur production. He came on and said, "The Queen, my lord, is not dead." Apparently, it was a long silence, to which Macbeth had to reply, and all he came out was, "Oh, I think you'll find she is." one of those apocryphal things. But what else do you say?
Are you sure?
Yes,
I'll go and have another look.
But still, that's the best. Oh, I think your fudge is.
Yeah.
All right, then. And then you carry on.
Because that doesn't that lead into the tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow speech. So it's a huge moment in the play.
Of course.
It's when Macbeth is exhausted by his betrayals and devastated and drained at the end. And imagine just going, everything's fine. Oh, great, yeah, good.
Yes, like tomorrow. Well, Peter O'Toole, one of my heroes, of course, famously did Macbeth, and the crowds laughed all the way through because of the interpretation he gave it. Yeah, he was masterly actor, but it was famous in the West End for being a hugely funny performance, and that's why it was packed out.
And wasn't there far too much blood to take us back on that one?
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
He was off stage, and it was basically a shower, so he came on
and
soaking.
And people were slipping on it and things like that. And they, tomorrow, and whoop! And tomorrow, on this petty page. What was Ian McKellen? I'm sorry, no, just talking about, you reminded me about Ian McKellen gave advice when they were together to Sir Patrick Stewart about playing Macbeth. And Sir Ian McKellen said, no important word, love, in that whole thing is and. It's not tomorrow. And so Sir Patrick, tomorrow and tomorrow goes, and that gives it a different shift. Not another bloody tomorrow, not another. And so that was fascinating. But you know, as far as there were so many different. The genius of Shakespeare and good playwrights, you can interpret it in different ways.
And it's all the little discoveries, isn't it? Because in there you've got times but a walking gentleman, and a walking gentleman, of course, was someone who would walk onto the stage and deliver that one line, often not a trained actor, and sometimes someone who'd paid for the privilege of being on stage.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones.
There we are, it's exactly that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you both lost me there. What do you mean?
Oh, Ed Sheeran paid...
Ed Sheeran, the pop star?
The pop star. He was a huge fan of Game of Thrones. And when it was on, he said, if you write me a little part in Game of Thrones, I'll give a huge sum of money to your charity of choice. So they did.
Wow. I've never seen any Game of Thrones, have you?
Oh, I've sat through it all twice.
Right.
Oh, yes.
I remember I was doing a charity gig and doing film and theatre styles, and I might have been up against the impossible Paul Merton, and he is impossible to be on stage with because he's so funny and he utterly deconstructs you. So he's not what you might call a team player. And all the Whose Lines Anyway stuff I did. But it was one of the suggestions, film and theatre styles, like Game of Thrones, and I had to be honest with the studio audience or the theatre audience. There's a technical problem there because I've never seen Game of Thrones and I don't know anything about it, so we'll have to rather take it from there. Hello. Ooh, look, there's a throne. Shall we play a game around it? And the audience asked, because they couldn't see I was in a state of terror and grasping at anything. But should I see it then?
It's worth a look. Well, do you like The Hobbit and The Lord of the
Oh, yes, very much.
So it's essentially that, but a lot of violence and a lot of nudity.
Oh, all right then.
There are some eunuchs.
I'll do that.
Yes, that's true.
I can play that.
There we go.
Oh, dear.
We're going to ramble now towards, hang on a moment,
1, 3, 0.
130.
By the way, listeners, none of this is happening. These are completely empty tables. This machine is imaginary. We're making it all up.
I'm a figment of your imagination.
Yes, a bad dream.
The worst. You're going to have to cut out the camembert.
Well, so we're discussing now parapsychological and occult methods for achieving well-being, happiness and success.
Righto.
Oh,
Any experience with the black arts, anyone?
The black art, I once saw the Black Mikado at the Piccadilly Theatre, where all black cast. Michael Dennison was the only white person in it, so I'd seen the Black Mikado.
we're back
I
to
don't.
Patrick Stewart, aren't we? Because he did a reverse Othello. He
did,
was
yeah.
The only white
That's
actor.
right, that's right. But then they're not so much the black arts, are they? Because then we're getting into, African theatre and things like that. No, you're talking about the occult,
Yeah.
which of course comes from the Latin for hidden, which was when I was I was about 14, and I'd have the blood, and indeed a poo sample. And the doctor said, well, it was still quite clever. I said, but not that clever. He said, well, we need to take this from you, young Tony, to look for occult blood. And of course, I immediately thought of Dennis Wheatley and the devil rides out. And I said, oh dear, really? He said, no, occult, Latin, do your Latin. It means hidden. That's all, just might be hidden blood. Nothing to do with witches. To which I replied, oh good. And that's true. Oh no, I don't believe in the paranormal at all. All these crappy programs, which are just full of complete frauds. Yes, and of course it's all in infrared, of course, because ghosts always don't appear in daytime, do they? And mythbusters say ghosts stopped the moment electricity was invented, because it was no longer candles, and then they make it all spooky by filming it in infrared. Did you hear that? Yes, I think I did. I thought it was a breath in my back. What a load of waste of time, complete bollocks. I've never seen any evidence. There is no scientific evidence for any paranormal activity. The same as believing in God. That's not. And I'm a fan of Richard Dawkins and the late Christopher Hitchens. Oh God, why did the wrong brother die? Is what I say. And I've seen them in action. I've read their books, and I am absolutely not against any faith. I respect it as long as it doesn't lead to violence and unkindness and segregation and superiority. Believe what you like. Believe in the supernatural. Just don't try and, one, push it on me, and two, try to convince, well, you can try, but don't be surprised if I disagree. It's not a crime to disagree. That's my rant over, but I do strongly believe that. I think the more misery and war throughout human history has been caused by supernatural belief than plague or disease or natural disasters and anything else.
It's interesting that they've discovered that supernatural belief is quite common in animals now. They've found that you can get pigeons to believe in supernatural. You can make pigeons superstitious. If they do something and a random act and you feed them when they do it, they will in the future, when they're hungry, perform that random act in the hope of making the food come in.
But that's anthropomorphism. They're not suspicious. They've been trained to do that.
Yeah, but they're
not being superstitious. They're
it's
not talking to each other.
It's that
oh,
failure
Mrs.
to
Pigeon,
connect.
don't go over there. That's where the piece of grain was. Oh, you're right, I'm not going over there. Let's go down there.
No, it's that failure to connect cause and effect that leads to superstition. So there's an example you can get from the internet is there's a guy who has a dog. Whenever his wife is away for the day, the dog puts a shoe on her bed because he did it once and the woman came back. So it must be the shoe on the bed that causes the woman. And one day his wife was away for a week, and when she got back, the dog had put all her shoes on the bed because it was trying. It's like a ritual. It's it's magical thinking. It's a superstition.
I think you're running a lot of things together there.
Possibly.
But you say it was from the internet.
Well, that example.
Well,
is,
case closed.
Yeah.
Have you not encountered anything, because you're working in so many theatres in the West End, and you always get told that they're haunted?
Oh, yeah. When I was in Me and My Girl, where I met my partner, sorry, was that snore?
No.
It really sounded like
I
a snore.
do apologise.
No, it's all right. No, I didn't snore at your... I didn't
apologise.
snore about your pigeon thing,
No.
which I did find interesting, but you did it off the internet. Yes, haunted. Well, no, really. Yeah, I was in Me and My Girl for a year, the musical. I played Gerald, that's where I met my partner Mark. I'm still with him, I love him dearly. If you're listening, Mark, hello. Only he's across the room. Hello, Mark. Don't be embarrassed. And he was in it, and he's a Broadway star as well. I just want to big up my Mark. Maybe he'll do one of these with me, and we can discuss 30 years together, and what a joy, and the ups and downs. But ghosts, no. Load of bollocks. Really. But my point is, in Me and My Girl, I shared a dressing room with a lovely guy. I won't say his name, but he did, in the interval, eat fish paste sandwiches. And we were in quite a small room, and there were no other dressing rooms, and it rather got on my nerves. I was very polite, but I went to the company manager, and I didn't mention it. I said, oh, I'm just being a bit sort of clumsy, and you know how small that room is. Is there anywhere else? I don't want anything posh. He said, the only place is the disused dressing area, and that's on the top. So I said, fine, that's fine. And what it wasn't a dressing room, but they put a camp bed in for me, and it was full of clothes going back hundreds of years from all now not longer used for anything, for previous theatre productions, and all the whispers went round and said, it's haunted. And I read up on it, oh no, that's the haunted room, because there was a murder down the corridor. And there was one night when the theatre was completely snowed in. There were no taxis, and some of us had to sleep over. And I said, fine. And there was problems with the electricity and things like that. And people said, oh, did you see that outside your room? Because people were going around and on the corridor upstairs, hoping for a glimpse of, I don't know, some old tramp, or someone who was killed, or someone who was used to be in a production of Oh, Mr. Porter, or something like that. And oh God, it's so cold up there. Yes, that's because we're in the middle of a blizzard, and it's -3 degrees centigrade. There's no heating. Yes, but I felt a shiver down my neck. Yes, that was the person you're having an affair with. He was breathing down your back. So I don't know. So that's paranormal for you.
But I'm with Charlie Brooker, who says the thing about the supernatural in the 21st century is pretty much everybody in the developed world carries a video camera with them at all times. If there were any supernatural occurrences, you would have evidence of it, because there would be footage. You know, people would whip their phone out and film it. It wouldn't just be a story a friend of a friend
right.
told you.
Right. Well, it's about empirical evidence.
Exactly so.
That's not to say that some things are inexplicable by science, because science hasn't caught up. It's still investigating.
It's ongoing.
Yeah.
But one of the excuses for, there are so many headless nuns. That's a very common thing, and so many people walking. Just floating. It's like 3 feet off the ground. And then the parapsychologist said, that's interesting, because that was the level of the ground then, 400 years ago.
Yeah.
But why hasn't it got a head? Well, there was a murder. So it's 3 feet off the ground with no head. Call it the Grey Lady. They're always called the Grey Lady.
And they always died in romantic circumstances. They've never died of dysentery. There's a Roman centurion walks the walls of Chester, he shits himself in the back at 12:30 every Thursday.
He becomes doubly incontinent. Is it threatening? No, I just want to give him something for, like, a Diacom or something. He'll be all right, love.
His ghost goes wailing down to Boots for Imodium.
It's like UFOs. Do I see UFOs in the strictest literal sense? I see something. Can I identify it? No. Is it flying? Clearly. Is it an object? Looks like an object. So it could be anything. It doesn't mean there are people inside going, ooh, look at Liverpool. I had a conversation with Paul O'Grady once. It lasted one of the most wonderful nights I've ever spent. We just spent about 12 hours just talking. And he said, fucking landing in the middle of Christmas shopping day, bossy day in Oxford Street. So we were both a bit drunk by then. He said, you don't. If you're going to visit. If you're going to say hello. Can you destroy us? destroy us. If not, just stop annoying us. Get on, go about your business. Haven't you got things to do?
It's funny, isn't it, how alien abductions always occur in the sort of towns in America that have a major crystal meth problem.
Well, no, the alien's coming down and saying, can we have some of your stuff? We've run out of it on our planet.
And we're back in the palatial surroundings of the presidential shed. Our rambles now, for the moment, are ended. So, have you enjoyed your first ramble, Tony?
I think it's been fascinating. I didn't know where it was going. I certainly didn't know where I was going. I thought you two were fascinating. God knows what I said. But I think we covered the subjects with depth and integrity and subtlety. There.
Well, there we are. That's that week's ramble for you. So thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed the meeting of the Rambling Club this week.
The club meets every Friday, but if you'd like to get in touch in the meantime, here's how you can find your fellow members.
Tony's official website is at www.tonyslattery.com, and you can get in touch on the contact form on that website.
We're at Twitter, @SlatteryLive. Use the hashtag TSRC to discuss this week's topics.
And I'm on Twitter at Paul Carmichael V.
Tony also has a Facebook group at www.facebook.com/group/The Tony
And he's on the gram at Tony_Slattery_official.
I was on the gram once.
I remember, and you couldn't stop talking for 16 hours straight. So,
and if people want to join the Rambling Club themselves, how do they do that?
Well, you can head to www.patreon.com/SlatteryLive. We'd be delighted to welcome you, and you can find all sorts of perks there for members, so pop across and have a look.
So please do get in touch by any of those methods. We would love to hear from you.
We would. But until the next time that we ramble again, thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you. My feet are sore and I am lost.
Absolutely. And thank you, Tony Slattery. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You have been listening to Tony Slattery's Rambling Club, with your host Tony Slattery, and Stephen Fry as the voice of the magical bingo machine. Tony was assisted by Paul Carmichael and Allan Lear. The music is by Michael Livesley. The show's concept is by Paul Carmichael. Our producer is Erika Lear, and our executive producer is Mark Strickson. Tony Slattery's Rambling Club is a Fanfaranade production.